Hey, this is Madalyn Sklar.
And Suze Cooper, and you're listening to All Things Audio.
So I just put a post into the nest from Morgan. Did you see that, Suze? He's sharing like some updates with Clubhouse this week that we can talk about for a moment here. Thank you, Morgan, since you can't speak with us. But man, that was awesome. Like, hey, just put a post here for us. So live rooms will show up at the top. Well, that's good to know. So there you go, Suze. Look for them at the top.
Yeah, I think one of the chats that I listened into just before we went live here earlier was Brandon, who was in our space last week, saying that his hallway had actually been overrun by live rooms. And that's what made me think again about where they were. I have to admit, all the while that I've been so engrossed in Morgan's chat and other chats that I've been taking part in, I haven't really thought about the live room aspect of it at all. But it was when he said it earlier in chats that his hallway had been flooded by them that it suddenly made me think, I still don't really know how to get to them. So that's really interesting, and must be, as Morgan said here, if live rooms are going to show at the top, potentially that would have been that update coming through for Brandon maybe, and therefore kind of flooding his feed, if you like. But yeah, interesting. Okay, so live rooms going to show at the top. Cool. What's the next one?
A skip to end button for chats. That is so good to know, but I couldn't figure it out. So I would love to know, how do we skip to the end? Because what was interesting, I'd seen the one that Morgan had started, before with his trip. And I went back into Clubhouse the other day and I saw it again. So I pressed on it. I don't remember. I think it started at the beginning, which I was like, because I do remember like, wait a minute, I already heard this stuff. I thought it was going to pick up where it left off, which I know it's done for me before. But I thought but then I could see at the top, like, oh, there's a lot of lines at the top, which means there's a lot more conversation, because this has just been this ongoing conversation for quite a while. But I could not figure out how to skip to get, further along. I just had to keep tap, 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 tap. And I know you can tell by looking at those lines if if that person's segment is short or long. But I wish it could give us a little more information, like maybe somehow tell us how many seconds. It was still kind of hard to decipher. And the more that is added to it, the smaller those lines are. So I had a really hard time kind of deciphering through that. And like, okay, this is going to be too long to listen to the whole thing from the beginning. And I already listened to part of it early on. So, how much more, where does it end? How many, maybe it should have a number of how many segments until the end. Maybe something like that would be nice to have.
Yeah, as I say, like some kind of time information would be good. I think a skip to the end button could be problematic in terms of if people literally just skip to the end. Like if you listen to the first message and then just skip to the end and add your thoughts, and you're not aware that perhaps the conversation might have meandered around a bit here and there, and it might not be relevant, if you see what I mean, that for what you're then saying just by skipping to the end. But in another breath, it would be good to be able to just go straight to the end and add your thoughts rather than having to tap, 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 tap all the way through. So yeah, definitely pros and cons with that one that I can see happening. A more prominent reactions button is number 3. Yeah, I think the thing is with the reactions, like everyone finds the heart because that's down at the bottom and it is very clearly the outline of the heart symbol. But people don't think about if you long press that heart, you can actually get a bit of a palette of emojis. There aren't loads of them. There's probably about 4, 8, 16 maybe. But yes, I guess the reactions within reactions almost, unless you just want to do a heart emoji. It's not kind of obvious that those others are hidden. They're almost like hidden behind the button. So maybe making that a bit more obvious would be a good thing to do maybe.
I didn't know that we could do that. What would be helpful is how on the X platform, when there's something brand new, usually it'll pop up when you go onto the mobile app and then a thing pops up to explain very quickly, like, hey, you can do this now. I think that would be helpful because I didn't know I could long press it for the reaction. So that's good to know.
Yeah, I had to go through the Spaces tutorial again last week because I got a new phone. So all the while that we were doing the space, it kept telling me about things. And I was like, yes, I know. I'm trying to do a space. Go away. But I guess, yeah, in terms of having a whole new refresh of the app, that kind of on-screen walkthrough tutorial would be good. I know that they did a chat to begin with when you first opened up the app after the update, where you could hear the founders kind of talking about what they'd done and running through a few of the things. But yeah, I mean, the long press on the emojis, I think that was actually in the Spaces house where Morgan was there. That's how I found out about it. So it was by listening to other people that I found out, rather than kind of, I probably wouldn't have thought to have sat there and fiddled about with it to find it, because I wouldn't have expected them to be there. So what's his number 4? A way to see your friends online. Okay. So I'm guessing that means that if someone is on there, either in a live room or leaving a chat somewhere, it would give them some kind of icon or something. We had that before, didn't we, where we could see who was on the platform. You could give them a wave kind of thing. Yeah, I guess knowing that other people are around is one of those things at the moment that you're not so aware of. So yeah, that's another good one. And sending a private message direct from a chat segment.
That's a great idea. I love that. I love that.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's put me off the private messaging was that at first I couldn't work out whether I was doing it publicly or privately. And then there was a thing about if you're in a public room and you try and leave a private DM, other people might hear it. And oh my goodness. So I think that's why as I say, the blue dot didn't mean that I had a DM to me at all for days and days and days. But I hadn't gone back into that section because I was so confused about who might be able to hear it.
I was confused in the beginning for sure. I could not really tell, like when I first came across it, I couldn't tell if it was public or not. So I just, went into one and chimed in, and then I started one, but I was like, okay, is this public or private? And then I went directly to your profile to figuring, well, let me try to do a private chat. But I wasn't 100% sure as I'm doing it. So hopefully they'll improve that so things become more obvious. So like when I'm here on X, it's obvious if you're in the DMs or you're just publicly posting and connecting.
Yeah, they're very kind of definite separate areas, aren't they? I suppose still over with the chats, it still feels like, I can see everybody's profile pictures in the round bubble, even in like the private DM section. It doesn't feel like it's sort of separate enough. Thank you to our sponsor, Zealous, right, Madalyn?
Yes, we're so thrilled to have Zealous on board as our sponsor. You and I have talked about this incredible tool many times here in All Things Audio because it is a great tool for those that are like us, that are hosting or speaking in spaces, or if you're a podcaster, you can use this to create all kinds of great content that when you want to take your audio and repurpose it. You and I, Suze, have both been playing around with this tool, and we're just so excited to officially welcome Zealous on board. Thank you to all of our speakers who came on and shared so much great stuff. And we're available in all of your favorite podcast apps. We're out there, All Things Audio. You can also go to allthingsaudiopodcast.com as well.
You certainly can. And you can catch us here on Twitter and use the hashtag AllThingsAudio, and we'll pick that up throughout the week. So that's it for this week. But thank you so much to everyone that's been here in the space with us and those of you listening. And we'll catch up with you next week.
Bye, everybody.